started off, what was the number one thing that you needed? Like looking back now, you thought you think if I had known back then, or if I had back then this, that, or the other, then I would be much more advanced today. So what does that look like for you?
I would say the education as far as the business side of being an entrepreneur. I knew I loved what I like to do. I knew I loved that. And I always loved to decorate. But I was not educated, even though I have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in business, I was not educated in what it looks like to actually run a business.
Yeah.
As far as keeping up with your numbers and even now, in light of the pandemic, that still was something that held me back. I'm gonna say it still is something that holds me back.
Okay.
Because I just didn't take that part as seriously as I should have.
Okay.
All I knew was I loved what I know how to do, and yes, I'm making some money, but I did not have those steps in place as far as running the actual business.
Okay.
That's what I could have used early on.
Okay. And so what advice would you give to someone just starting out?
I would say get a mentor, but not only get a mentor, listen to your mentor. Take what they give you, because you are my mentor and you give more into me. Take what is given to you and apply it. Because it's one thing to have information, but if we don't apply it, then what good does it do us or anyone else?
Absolutely.
So, and then have more than one mentor. It's okay to have more than one mentor. I mean, I have mentors, they don't even know they're my mentor, but they are. I've never spoken to them, but they are. But I always have somebody that's going to keep you on track, so to speak. Not that you have to report your every move to them, but you know if you go to that person, they're going to tell you the truth. Like I know if I come to you, I'm going to get the truth.
Absolutely.
So not a yes person, somebody that's going to actually speak truth to you as far as the ins and outs of what you need.
Absolutely. And so that's the thing, is because a lot of, like, they call it owner's arrogance. It's when you first get out there and you feel, I know how to run a business, because how can it be? You consider yourself a smart person. And even if you're a smart person, like, even if you've worked in offices, I've had CFOs to be my clients, and they understood perfectly what they were getting ready to do. But when it came to the human resources part of that, like, you can't just say everything to anybody.
You cannot. You cannot. It's not gonna fly.
You can't just say everything to anybody, and you cannot when you have employees, we teach about the 4 types of team members. You have your visionary, you have the person that's a loving, want to please everybody, you have your person that wants to do all the work, and then you have that person that's a good researcher. Like, those 4 people are needed on every team. Mm-hmm. And so when we talk about that, and then I'm telling, most times my business owners are the visionaries, because they had the vision for the business, so most times that I've had 1 or 2 that weren't visionaries, but most times that they're the visionary, and they know exactly where they see the business going. Mm-hmm. But in running off and doing that, they forget the people who are on their team to communicate that in a way that's palatable to the people they're trying to talk to, because it sounds rough, and it sounds like you're leaving me out, and it sounds like, where do you see all this? Because we don't have all this. It sounds very different. So having that loving person, people person is on, you need them on deck, especially if you're a leader. And so we talk about that, right? When you talk about teams, so I know you and your husband do your businesses together, which is perfect. But other team members, like other people that work with you, when you're doing, like, let's say your event planning, and you have to set up things, or you have to coordinate with another person, you know, either that person's a contracted person or just a person you need when you need a PRN or whatever that looks like. What does that look like to you? Like, when did you first decide, okay, we're gonna need some help?
Okay, that is a good question. So me, I'm the doer type, and so I think I can do everything. I can set it up, I can break it down, you know, I can organize it, I can coordinate it. However, the way my body is set up these days, my joints and my knees and my back, I realized that I can't do it all, and I had to get used to asking for help. And I don't previously do well with asking for people to help. Now my husband's gonna help, but I realized it's gonna take more than just me and him, especially when I had parties of like 250 people. That's a lot of tables to set up. That's a lot of chairs to cover. And so I had to realize, hey, you're gonna need some help because your body is not what it used to be in your 20s and 30s. And so I had to ask for help. And then you have to be careful when you ask for help though, because some people have their own agenda.
Yeah.
In even helping you. So I had to get people, I needed people to help set up and break down. That's mostly what I need for any event, just people to help set up and break down. But then I have to be careful to share my vision with them, because some of them wanted to do, I ran into, they wanted to do what they wanted to do. And I'm like, no, that's not the picture. That's not what I asked you to do. This is what needs to be done. And so you have to be very particular in selecting the people that are going to help you. Right now, it's mostly my family and a close group of friends that help me, help us. But in asking for the help, you do need to be selective in who you choose and how you choose them. I have a couple of young ladies now that are wanting to get into events planning, and they've offered to just shadow and help just so they can kind of learn the process. So I'm learning, okay, that's somebody that can help me, and I'm helping them at the same time. So be careful with people and their own agendas, but then get somebody that you know is going to work too. Because if you don't, what should take you 2 hours might take you 4 hours if you got a person that's, not, want to take their time. You're on a time frame. And so you have to be careful with who you select and how you select them. And then also something I learned, be careful to who they're attached to. Because something that I just had a conversation with somebody on Christmas Day, because I posted some pictures of an event that we decorated, and I always tag the people that helped me.
Right.
And she said, well, this person right here, why is she helping you? Because she said, I said, hold on. I don't know anything about that. I know that she offered to help me because she likes what I do. I know nothing about her personal life. It's not my business. Oh, wow. So that's why I said be careful to who they're attached to as well. But I keep it business with them. I basically know their names and that they want to help. So you just have to be careful, because you think that everybody thinks the way you do, and they don't.
I know. And that's the thing. And so talking about that, so in your offerings, right? So looking back on where you started, like now, from where you started to now, what changed in what you offer?
What changed is I learned how to value myself. Because early on, if I gave you a price and you said, well, no, I can't really afford it. And I said, well, what can you afford? And then I would just work with what they had. The problem with that is I was giving away too much. And I am a giver. I don't mind, because usually with every party I do, I'm always putting a little something extra in. That's no problem. But when they expect you to do that, so I wasn't making any money. I was barely breaking even, most of the time going in the hole. So I had to learn how to value myself so I can say, okay, I'm worth more than that. And I didn't always do that, because to me, as long as I got the customers, I was winning.
Yeah.
But you can get customers and still lose if you're not making any money.
Exactly.
So I really was losing. So I had to come to grips with myself, like, okay, you got to stick to your prices. These are your prices. If they're not okay with your prices, then guess what? They're not your customers. Exactly. Yeah. If they're going to nickel and dime you and ask you, can you go lower? Then no. So I ask people up front, what is your budget?
Exactly. And let's talk about your core values, because here's what I found. So a lot of the people I'm talking to lately, okay, the 3 things that every business needs: mission statement, vision statement, core values. Most times I find when people are having a problem in negotiating prices or negotiating services or negotiating period, I find that when they are talking to people who don't share their core values, that there's a disconnect there. And so when you talk about nickel and diming and not really understanding the value you bring to the situation, what are your core values for your business when you're doing business?
Okay, so when I'm doing business, keeping my name is important. So I operate in a certain level of integrity. I'm very honest with what I tell people. I don't know how to sugarcoat, but I know how to speak it to you nicely, in a way that's gonna make both of us feel good. I had to learn how to communicate in a way that is not hurtful to people, even though I'm not saying what they want to hear.
Okay.
So I'm very upfront and honest. I'm very organized, and so organization is important to me. So I want to work with organized people. I can't work with somebody that's all over the place because it bothers me. I need you to be, centered, like I am. And I have learned to say no. It's okay for me to say no and to turn down a job. And that was hard for me to do because I just felt like, okay, I'll just take it out. I just take it out. And stressing myself, trying to make something work that should not work. Yeah. So my integrity is important to me, keeping a good name, being honest and upfront with people about what I can do, the services that I can provide for the amount of money that you're giving me.
Absolutely.
So I'm not inflating anything. I'm not making you feel like I can do, a rose gold party when it should be, maybe Barney party or something like that. I'm not inflating your ideas of what I can do based on the amount. So that's where the honesty part comes in. I'm a lot of persons say, oh yeah, I can do that. No, I had to step back from myself because I was doing that early on. And like I said, wearing myself out. So I'm honest with that person, and I'm even honest with myself as far as what I can do. For example, someone wanted me to do draping a ceiling. And although I've never done that before, I've watched tutorials. It's something that I want to get into. However, I'm afraid of heights. So I'm not going to climb up a ladder and do that. However, I can find you somebody that can do that. So that's when it comes to being honest with myself. Although I want to do it, I'm like, that ladder is very high. And I the way I'm set up, but I can find you somebody to do the things that I can't do. So that's when it comes into being honest with myself. Because initially, I think I can take on the world, but I can't take on the whole world.
Absolutely. And do you find that once you have centered yourself and decided this is who I am and this is what I offer, do you find that you get to go further than when you're like scattered all over the place and worn out and tired and it becomes a nightmare?
I do. I certainly do, because I was scattered for a long time because I thought, I'm just going to do whatever they want me to do. And I was worn out physically, mentally, and even emotionally. I was worn out from just being scattered. And so being able to center myself before I go even in to talk to a person, being able to center myself first. And then in talking to them and determining what they want, being able to be realistic enough to say, okay, yes, I can do that, or no, I can't do that, and no, I can't go down on my pricing.
Yeah. and what I tell you, I've told you this in training. What I've always told my business owners is, if you have to, now there's a reasonability in price, period. Okay, we say that's granted. There's a reasonability in price. However, if you are giving your best and you're adding value to the situation, and they're saying, well, I want $50 worth of services for $2. You're not talking to the right person. Like, there's a disconnect there. A lot of times, like you were saying in the beginning, when we first start out, we want to work and serve everybody. But then once you understand the value that you bring to a situation, you realize that everyone's not your customer. And like you
and
said,
it took me a while to learn that. Because I mean, even going through the launch class, when you first taught us that, I was like, but everybody is my customer. But they're not. And it's okay that they're not, because they are somebody's customer, just not mine.
Exactly. And so how important is it to have a pool of people, say if they're not yours, then, you know, for somebody who's just starting out, they may be there. You know what I'm saying? So how important is it to you to be able to have a network of people that, hey, I can't help you, my price may be a little bit too much for you. What about passing it off to someone else?
That's very important. Actually, I do have a group of people, because I don't see myself as competition to people who do the same thing as me. Now we are, but that's not because we swap each other stuff out. As far as products that we have, you know, we send each other referrals. If I'm booked and you're not, there you go. Or if I'm not what they're looking for, hey, here's 2 or 3 people that may be what you're looking for. So and I just had this conversation with another events planner. So we certainly work with each other in that aspect, to where that person will still get what they want, just maybe not from me.
Subcontracting things out. Yeah, because a lot of times, and that's the thing, is collaborations are king, right? Like there's an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, then go with someone. Because you actually double your impact when you collaborate with other people. So how important has that been for you? Because you're an event planner. So there are things like programs and flowers and all these other things that you don't normally do. So how important is it for you to be a collaborator?
It's very important to me, because, as you said, I don't know how to do all of those things. Now, can I do them? Probably. But if I can kick that to somebody else, number one, I'm building a relationship with that person as well, and providing a service that I know is going to be impeccable, compared to me just saying, oh, I think I can do that. You know, which is also helping me protect my name also, because I don't want to say, oh, I can do that, and then it's no good. And they're like, well, she said she could do it, but she did a poor job of it.
Yeah.
So I love to get to know other vendors, other events planners, florists, people that do the things that I don't normally do.
And then understanding your genius, right? Like understanding what it is that you do, and being a professional and an expert at that thing. Like if somebody come and they say, well, I need, 8 people at a table, but I want all these other arrangements. You being the professional, know that, okay, well, let me just tell you about having all that on there and still wanting 8 seating. Like you're able to have that conversation with the person intelligently, whereas somebody that's just doing it, they just, oh, sure, yeah, let's do that. And then you get people in and and they didn't have a good time because there wasn't enough spacing.
Because it's crowded, and early on, you think that, but then you have to kind of get wisdom as you go along.
Yeah.
And if you don't get the wisdom, you're going to be stuck in that. You're going to be stuck.
Yeah.
The way those people are stuck, you're going to be stuck. You gotta
because that's your name, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're the event planner. You're the one that's supposed to be putting this thing together. Even though person, because sometimes, have you ever had an unreasonable client where you're telling them, no, that's not probably a good idea. They're like, but this is my dream and this is how I want to have it. And so everybody had run into that client where they may not be difficult as far as mean. It's just that they're determined that whatever's going on in their head is what you're going to perform.
I had a client, and it kept changing. What she wanted kept changing. And I'm going, okay, by this date here, I need to know exactly what we're doing.
Yeah.
And that was probably, in all my years, the most difficult client that I have had. But I learned from it. I updated my contract. from that experience. So I believe it was meant to be
Education.
to open my eyes to see some things that I previously didn't see.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It was the one that stressed, the only one pretty much that has stressed me and stretched me.
I heard you.
So now I have information in my contract to where, no, you can't make any changes at this date right here. No, if you don't pay in full by this date right here, you forfeit and you get, no refunds or however my wording is. But that one right there did it. And it was hard because I knew the person.
Yeah.
Somebody that I knew. And I think that they thought because they knew me, oh yeah, she'll do it. And I found myself, oh yeah, I can go ahead and do that. And then I was like, wait a minute, no, we can't keep doing this. And that's why I say I learned from it and it stretched me. It really did.
Yeah. I hear you. And so when you talk about your perfection, like your profession, when you talk about it, do you find that you have to continually learn?
Oh yes, I'm always learning something because number one, I like to learn. I think I'm like a sponge. I like soaking stuff up. But things change so much in this industry, and people are offering this and this and this. And so in order to stay competitive, even though a lot of these people are my friends, I have to constantly learn how to do the next thing that's coming up. But not all of it, because everybody's into balloons now, and I don't like balloons. So I have a couple of girls that I contract when my client wants balloons.
Okay.
But there are other things that I have learned how to do. Some things I was already doing, but learning the proper techniques to do them. I've taken classes to do that, and I'm like, oh, that's how that should go, even though mine looks the same. But at any given time, I'm like, okay, Lord, please let it hold up, please let it hold up. Now I know the proper technique. So there's always something to learn for me so that I can offer more to my clients, which is going to in turn give me more clients if they see that okay, she's improving. She's doing something new. And actually there's something new that we're going to be offering coming up pretty soon somebody asked me, could I do that? And I was like, I don't know anybody else is doing that. Let me see. So we might be taking something else on. So
Absolutely.
There's always more to learn, always.
Exactly. Because a lot of times new business owners go in business and they think whatever I open my business with, I'm going to be doing it for life. And chances are, because we're progressive people, that's not a true long-term goal or plan, is to stay the same. So when you look at Marshun, on the first day you decided, I'm going into business, and you look at Marshun now with all this experience behind you, how is she different?
She is different because now she knows who she is. Number one, because early on, I just knew what I love to do. But knowing what you love to do and getting to do what you love to do, you have to, on some level, get to really know who you are as a person. Because that's going to help you to know, if I know for sure who I am, then you can't come and take advantage of me because I love doing what I do. Secondly, I feel like I'm better because I have also and continually learned the business side of because you got to do both. We don't like it, but you got to do both. You got to do what you love, and you got to keep that business going. So absolutely. I've learned so much of that, and I mean, just continually learning. And you have to be reading. After I got out of college, I didn't want to read another book. But guess what? Readers are readers. Yeah. So I'm constantly trying to read. My goal this coming year is to read at least a book a month because I had slacked off so bad.
I heard you.
And what I'm trying to do now in the next few days is finish 2 books that I started and didn't finish. And I want them done before the end of this year so that I can go start fresh. So things like that are going to be able to help me self-improve, because you always want to be the best version of yourself that you can be. And you can't do that if you don't exercise some level of trying to self-improve. Because people are they're buying you. They're not buying what you do. They're buying you.
Absolutely. And so when you How big is it for you to have a network of people that do what you do and people that don't do what you do?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge because people are going to be people regardless. Okay. Some of them you're going to pull in close. Some of them you got to handle with a long end spoon, but they still can be a part of your network. You just have to know where to have them, who to hold close, and who to keep at a slight distance, but still in your network. If you go at everything alone, you won't accomplish as much as you're meant to accomplish. If you have a network of people, then you can go further because that person knows what you do and they can refer you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you never know when what you're doing is going to come across somebody, randomly ask you a question and you can say, oh yeah, I know, because last night, somebody wants their daughter to have sewing lessons. I thought about Candace. Candace was one of my students, taught by Cornell University, has a whole student studio where she teaches people how to sew. And that's going to be ideal for that young lady, for her daughter. And so, randomly, you find people asking, needing things. And that's why I brought that up, is because if you only know people in your industry, then you kind of pigeonhole yourself and you're not able to give, or you're not able to serve. How big is it for you, for your businesses to be a service as opposed to, I got to get this money?
Actually, we see both our businesses as ministry. And a lot of people go on ministry, and I'm like, yes, it's to ministry, but what we do is we serve people because that's where our hearts are. So we have the marriage ministry, we have the financial planning, and we have the events planning. And even though both of those are paying businesses, we still see them as ministry because we're serving people. So in serving somebody with their event, I'm giving them what they want, but they just may not have the capability or the patience to do it. In the financial industry, I'm really serving them because we have a lack of financial literacy education. So we see everything we do as ministry. Yes, we need to get paid. Yes, these are our businesses, but we believe if we're doing the right thing for people, the money will come.
That's good. That's a good philosophy to have. So what one somebody who wants to get into event planning, what is one thing that you could tell them on how to get started? Because one of the questions I get all the time is, I have this idea, how do I get started? So give us first, I want you to give us things they shouldn't do. Give us 3 things they shouldn't do. And then give us 3 things they should do.
Okay.
Okay.
We will start with the shouldn't do first. Don't go at it alone. Because when you start something alone with no support, you're going to spin yourself. You're just going to be spinning. I've been there. Don't go at it alone. So reach out and get you some help. Number 2, should not do. Well, I'll just say, be careful who you talk to about your idea. Because they might start it and it might be the thing that you wanted to start. So protect your idea, I would say, for a length of time. Number 3, do not doubt yourself and your abilities, because that's what stops a lot of us, doubt. We don't have confidence in ourselves and what we love to do. So those are 3 things that you don't want to do. What you do want to do is reach out and get involved in a startup program like the one you're involved in and the one I'm involved in. That's going to help you kind of get through all the questions you have, even though it'll be questions that you don't even think you have. It's going to help you work through all of that. A startup program. Find a mentor. Keep in constant communication with that mentor, somebody that is in the same industry as you should be your first mentor, in my opinion. And then, of course, you can, come across others as you do. But a mentor that's going to let you, can you believe somebody reached out and asked me to mentor them?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because there's always people before you. There's always people behind you. Like there's always people ahead of you. There's going to always be people behind you. You only have to stay 2 steps ahead of the person behind you. So as long as you're 2 steps ahead, you have some value to give to those people behind you.
But yeah, so find a mentor and somebody that's in the same industry as you that doesn't mind pouring into you, because sometimes if we're doing the same thing, I might view you as my competition. So I don't want to share information with you. I'm totally not that way because we're two different people. Absolutely. So find a mentor. And then the third thing is do it. A lot of times we say, well, when I get this part and then I do, just get out there and do it. Leap. Yeah. Have that faith in yourself, because if God put that idea in you, you're meant to do it. And if whatever it is, if it's the first thing you think about when you get up and the last thing you think about when you go to bed, it's what you're meant to do. Yeah. It's your passion. And whatever your passion is, you won't be able to not do that thing. Like, even though my body is rebelling, I can't see myself not decorate. I can't not decorate. I heard you. I just can't do it. Because I thought about, maybe I just do the coordinating part. I can't not decorate. I just have to find enough help to where I don't have to do it all, but it's still my vision, Yeah. So jump out there and just do it. But I will say, don't quit your day job when you jump, because you still need to be able to replace you. You still got to pay your bills while you're, because I've had that happen a couple of times. Well, I'm going to quit and do my business full time. Are you sure? Are you sure? Be very sure. Be financially sure. Financially sure. Financially sure. So, and just make sure you have a support team. I think that was about 4 things, but make sure you have a support team. And when I say a support team, your family or whoever it is that really see your vision and that really can keep you positive when you don't feel like being positive. Because I've had those days and maybe like, okay, we got this. And I'm like, I don't know. But so somebody that's going to help you stay in the right mind frame, because being an entrepreneur is hard. It's so easy to go punch a clock because we know what we're doing, but it's hard to be an entrepreneur, but it's worth it. It's because you get to experience a level of freedom that we can't experience when we work for somebody else. Absolutely. Well, thank you for this interview. I'm happy. Hold on. I'm going to stop the recording here. Okay. And we'll finish our conversation.